Taoiseach, at the Ain to Ordesh in recent weeks, a motion was passed calling for a state apology for the travelling community for the systematic way in which governments discriminated against them. Basically, what happened was this country told travelling people that they could only be accepted and included in society if they ceased being travellers. Governments did this by way of legislation, the Roads Act, the Housing Act, the Commission on Itinerancy, and so on. It was a blatant attempt to clamp down on an ethnic minority in our country and to make their way of life impossible for them. And the state has never apologised for this. Too often in my role as a politician, I do experience situations where you're talking to people and they whisper to you that they are a traveller, and the reason they whisper is because they are too ashamed to say it out loud. And I actually know of a married person whose spouse did not know that they were a traveller when they got married. It's heartbreaking to see, and not to mention the demise of a lot of the traveller culture, such as the cant language. Will you issue a state apology to the travelling community for the dehumanising way in which governments have treated them and the long-lasting effect this has had on this ethnic minority in the decades since?
So, thank deputies for further questions, and Deputy Tobin's first question related to the possibility of a state apology to the traveller community. In many ways, he spoke about the attempt for decades, essentially, to assimilate the traveller community, which was wrong and shouldn't have happened. What I do recall from the government led by Enda Kenny, and often with a lot of leadership from Minister of State David Stanton at the time, we as a state recognised the traveller ethnicity, and I think that was the right thing to do. I do know from being involved in state apologies in the past, any apology has to be carefully considered. First of all, it has to be adequate, because if it's not adequate, it's not accepted. It has to be authentic. You can only apologise for things that definitely happened, for obvious reasons, and then beyond that, it needs to be followed up with action. It can't just be an apology and then that's the end of it. And certainly I'd be happy to engage with the travel organisations on the matter. I've met them on a number of occasions. I don't think it's ever been raised as an issue, but that's not to say it isn't an issue. So it is something I'll follow up with those organisations.